Hey, my name is Mike Amos. His name is Forrest Lee, and his name is Bill Rice Jr.
Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to our show. And of course, on the eve of a big cake sale, which is going to feature the Cloggers are going to have a cake sale on Thursday, which is tomorrow. And
That's shebang.
On Friday, we've got Goshen High and cheerleaders with a cake sale. So for the next two, not today, but the next two shows, we got the cakes galore.
Father's Day sale. Get it for your dad, granddaddy.
It's going to be a great opportunity for people to buy those cakes for Father's Day, and I know that's a big thing at your house, isn't that right?
They've been talking. I've already gotten a couple of Father's Day gifts from my sweet kids. So yeah, maybe somebody will get me a cake to go with all the gifts I've already gotten. You know what I got is I got a pack of ink pens, a 5-pack of ink pens.
Oh yeah, well,
for Maggie. Good, yeah. She sees me on my computer and I'm making notes in my notebooks and I'm always losing pens. And so she gave me a solution to that problem.
Well, maybe she'll get you a cake too. You know, there's going to be a lot of cakes out here tomorrow, and of course it's going to be a great way to raise money for the group, the dance group, or the Cloggers, Shebang Cloggers, which is a very well-known group in town. And then, of course, the Goshen High cheerleaders always do well with a cake sale, so it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow and the next day.
You know, shebang is an important tenant on the square because they do have a lot of girls dancing, and not just clogging, you know, modern dance and jazz. And
people always
brings hundreds of parents to the square twice a day to take the kids and
they've had summer camp, you know, for choreography and all that. Tricia Ratcliffe has done that for years, and Abby did it for 13 years, but Tricia Ratcliffe is the owner.
You know who I bought my house from?
Tricia Ratcliffe.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cakes, last night we had a reunion gathering of Goshen High School, class of 77. We're going to celebrate homecoming, our class, our 45th anniversary of graduating from Goshen. September the 23rd, Goshen plays Kinston, and then we're going to meet at the Barn Restaurant at 11 to 2, and they're going to have 2 or 3 varieties of food for us and a buffet type thing. It's air conditioned, if you get inside or rocking the fort. But I cooked for them last night. Vegetables,
I bet it was good.
and cornbread, and I cooked a pineapple cake.
So what they call an old-fashioned upside-down cake?
No, it wasn't upside down. The pineapple's inside the batter, and then I got some cream cheese and some Amish butter and some powdered sugar and fresh pineapple, and stirred it in my mixer, and that was my icing. And it was, I think it was pretty good.
I bet it was. Did you was it fresh pineapple?
Well, in the batter was 2 cans of pineapple, but the outside was fresh pineapple.
I bet if you go back 44 years ago to your classmates at Goshen High School in 1977, I bet none of them thought, you know, one day Forrest Lee is going to be an accomplished cake and pie vegetable chef.
Well, they were oohing and ahhing. We had fresh butter beans, fresh corn. I had snapped some snap beans. I picked some snap beans out of the garden. I had to buy some. My tomatoes aren't ready. Tomatoes and cucumbers, cornbread. Had macaroni salad with olives.
Oh man, that sounds good.
I bet more and more people with these rising food prices are going to start doing gardens.
Well,
and then, you know, using it today, and then a lot of people can it, don't you, and save it for throughout the year?
I have done that. But I had an Uncle Bozo, Manly Lee. I can remember him saying, eat all you want. No, get all you want, but eat all you get. Don't waste nothing.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff is in the refrigerator. That's what we're having for lunch.
So Bill Rice is center stage today. He dominates in size on the show, and of course,
you got a nice tea.
Brought to you by Lawrence Hardware on South Bunny Street, and Boy, that's a beautiful, y'all live shop in Lawrence Hardware.
Yes.
A kingdom-minded company.
And I tell you something about it too, though, is they've got what the other guys don't have. You know, people will laugh about that, but Lawrence has more items than, as far as hardware items than Walmart or any of them.
It's an old-fashioned hardware store. I
Yeah.
love it. And then you got help that knows what they're talking about. That can help you. And anytime I go to the hardware store, I'm going to need help.
Yeah.
I don't understand all this stuff.
You're exactly right. You know, we were talking earlier about shebang and how it dominates downtown. You're right. Most of those cars down there, it's probably for a member of shebang. That they've got a lot of groups, and they're mostly shebang.
They have a clinic. They have these workshops and summer camps all summer long. And then typically, I think if you're on a squad, they divide them by class or by age. Say, mostly like Abby and her age group, there were probably 9 or 10 who were local, but they had another 9 or 10 that went to compete. So in her class, when she was a senior, there were probably 15 or 20 total cloggers from different schools, but she elected just to be performance, not
Well, I know how
competition.
many it is because they have a performance once a year at
in the spring.
Crosby Theater. They might have to do 2. I think they do 2 performances, and it's packed, man.
And it's
I mean,
broken down.
Oh yeah, the parents and that's the thing about shebang is that they adhere to everybody. I'm sure these parents find it very entertaining to watch the group perform.
The older Abby got, the more I enjoyed it. And you know what their ending theme song is, Mike?
Right.
That they clock to?
Oh, put me in, coach.
Rocky Top.
Oh, Rocky Top will always be home sweet home to me. Well, you will learn that song before long, right?
Rocky Top. Well, we play in Tennessee this year.
My dad knew it because Mr. Joe Blunt was one of his best friends. When he passed away,
They played Rocky Top.
no, Dad was asked to speak at his funeral, and he closed it out by singing Rocky Top in honor of Mr. Blunt, who was the biggest Tennessee band in Troy.
Yeah, that's right. His daughter, Joe Blunt, or what I call Martha Joe Blunt, she and I were in the same class at Charles Tennessee. And I know she'd appreciate hearing that old song.
Who were your grandparents?
Her daddy loved Rocky Top.
Who was your daddy's parents?
Mine were Bob and Lucy Rice. Bob Rice worked for the State Highway Department. He eventually became the director his last 2 years. And Lucy Rice was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then she went to work for Mary Chevrolet.
Those were your grandparents?
That was my grandparents on my dad's side.
Well, speaking of dads, it's Father's Day weekend. Do not forget about that. Preseason Father's Day,
You're right,
Mike
exactly.
and Bill.
And it will be a big weekend for most all of you, and of course being that it's Father's Day, and it's always a fun time in my house, and the kids always love to do the things that Papa always liked to do.
I want to go back to Baba, is what I call Bob Rice. Everybody thinks of me and they say, well, you're kin to the Chapmans on your mom's side, and they're a real prominent family. So that's kind of worked to my advantage through the years, I'm sure. But I've thought about it. My grandfather, Bob Rice, he was the director of the 7th Division of the Alabama Highway Department, and at one time, back when he would have been in charge, I think it had thousands of employees in the whole...
Yeah.
And he was the boss of one of the biggest employers in the whole dang region.
Oh, yeah.
Where was that at, Troy?
Yeah.
Well, still here. The
Alabama
I
Highway
think they changed
Department.
the way they divide the state districts, but they used.
Well, the biggest thing ever to happen to Troy, Alabama, was and your granddaddy was the head man. Was when they built the bypass around Troy.
Yeah,
That was a huge. That was a lot of. But they probably needed to have moved the road back a little bit. But even today, though, they're able to your granddaddy did a good job, let's say
Well,
that.
it was. I've written a story about the importance of Highway 231, and I touched a little bit on the controversy, because didn't that highway used to go right by your house?
Right by my house on Orion Street, and we used to sit out on the front porch and count the Chevrolets and the Fords, and my brother and I would
So that was a
hawkers,
that was a thriving area when you grew up, right?
Yeah, that was the only way to go through 231 all the way to, well, I don't know how, I reckon it went all the way to Orlando, Florida, but
And that took everybody through downtown.
downtown Troy, yeah.
Downtown.
And then see, Highway 231 met Highway 29. 29 went all the way to New York. Did y'all hear that?
Mhm.
29, that road went all the way to
Yeah.
New York. and
231 goes.
231 went all the way.
Where'd it go to?
Florida or somewhere like that, I'm not sure.
Well, you know, you
But
used to have,
Steve, you get them out and see how far 231 went.
Mike, you can, when you were a kid, you can probably still remember the Hotel Troy. Wasn't it a thriving big hotel, and it was built originally, I'm sure, to be near the railroad track. That's
The
where
railroad,
people
that's
used to come. And so all the hotels had to be what? Near the railroad track.
Yeah.
But also it had the advantage of the highway used to have to come through downtown Troy.
Yeah. Most
Now
people-
all the hotels are on the bypasses and on exit ramps from interstates.
And hopefully we'll get another motel going. Right now, the construction, yes, go ahead.
I was going to answer your question, but you're talking about, didn't the old Motel Troy burn down?
Yep.
Mother bought like 5 loads of brick and had
Oh,
them
really?
dumped in the front yard.
Yeah.
I cleaned most of them, and that's how
Yeah.
our house got bricked, half brick, half cedar.
Are you serious?
And
Love
US
it,
231, it says runs, well, that's US 31, let's see. 912 miles from St. John, Indiana to Panama City, Florida is what it says here.
What, 231?
That's what it says.
Went all the way to Miami, Florida. Went all the way to Miami.
No,
I'm sorry.
it says Panama City, Florida,
Panama City.
from St. John, Indiana, which is way up there
Yeah.
to
Right to
the
the
Great
heartland
Lakes,
of
yeah.
America.
Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida.
But you're saying to me that it stopped in Panama City?
what it
231
says.
stopped. Huh, that's amazing.
Well, they might change the names on the signs sometimes. They switch and confuse you, but that's interesting. I once did a piece of journalism I'm still proud of today when I had the Troy Citizen newspaper. I did a big 10,000 word article on the importance of Highway 231 and the evolution of the highway.
A 10,000 word
Article would
be a
fill
lot.
up a lot. You had to, well, you call it, you jump. You start the story on one page, and you jump it to another page, and that article would have probably jumped to another
I
page.
got you.
Or I broke it up into little different sidebars. But I counted all the businesses that were fronting Highway 231 back then. I remember then it was like 125 businesses. I bet today it's probably about 300. And then I got the traffic count on the highway. And back then, whenever I wrote that story, it was the peak traffic count was about 29,000 right there at the old Country's Barbecue.
Yeah.
And I wonder what it is today.
Well, what we want to do, we want to get away from this first of all. And Forrest has got some real news.
Well,
some of that news.
Bill's got on this Troy University emblem shirt. Looks good. Former Trojan and National Football League receiver Jarrell Jernigan is the new head football coach at Eufaula High School.
That is a big thing. Yeah,
And now we play Eufaula.
I felt like they would pretty much, and this is a one of the most traditional schools in the state of Alabama as far as winning football games, and
Wilton
Dave Bush is from
Jarrell
Eufaula.
Jernigan will do a great job at Eufaula High School.
Good morning.
Morning.
Darrell Jernigan is named head football coach at Eufaula High School, one of the great football players ever in Troy history.
Yeah, I read that on Facebook last night. I would imagine a lot of people campaigned and pushed and helped him get that job. First time as a head coach in any sport. But he was a great player. And hey, what? I saw him not too long ago at that Legends Banquet. He looked like a outside linebacker now.
Yeah, I know it.
He's strong.
Yeah. You know, most of these kids, I don't know, some of them watched him play, but they've been around him a long time to see what he's all about, and what he's all about are good things for Eufaula High School, and I can see big things coming out of Eufaula.
Charles, doesn't Rodney Jordan coach over there too? Or
yeah, he does, and I don't know if he's going to go.
He's going with Rigby, Port Carlson, Alabama.
If he goes with Rigby, it'll surprise me because
Pike Road.
Yeah.
And Charles Henson plays Eufaula, their region opponent, on October the 7th in Eufaula.
And Eufaula, yes,
Put
yes,
that on
sir.
your calendar. That'd be great.
That's right.
Yeah, no question about
Did
it.
you see where the former head coach at W.S. Neal is now the new head coach of the Escambia Academy?
Yes.
Escambia Academy and W.S. Neal.
They switched coaches,
Swap, yep.
is that right? They switched coaches.
He'll do good there.
But now,
Program set.
yeah. And of course, congratulations to Coach Hugh Fountain going back home. He heard Mama calling, and that's where he's going back home. The coach at
W.S. Neal.
W.S. Neal.
Well, you know, Hugh, here's what Hugh did at Escambia Academy. He was the headmaster, athletic director, head football coach, track coach,
Oh,
probably
boy.
had to do a little bit of basketball. He was probably getting a little bit tethered, burnt out. So now
Yeah.
he's just focused on AD and head football, and they'll do well down there.
Oh yeah, no question. And this is a no-brainer for Coach and his family. He wants he would want to go back to his old high school.
Well, you're talking high school football. The Elba running back, the Henderson kid, has gotten an offer from the University of Alabama. He's like a ninth grader,
The
10th
running
grader.
back at Elba?
Running back at Elba. He's already a 4-star.
And
Wow.
I wonder how long until Alabama offers this defensive lineman that Charles Henderson at Auburn just offered.
and what grade will he be in next year?
At Elba.
At Elba.
It said freshman on Facebook, but he
Oh,
may be
boy.
a sophomore. But he's a Henderson kid.
Yeah.
Elba's got another Don Horsted. Now, they also produced Ted Horsted, who had a stellar career at Troy. Had a better career than his older brother, but
Yeah.
man,
Alvin-
Don Horsted, when
Yeah.
he was in high school, was like the Herschel Walker of the Wiregrass.
Alvin Henderson, plus they're waiting on Peter Woods, the 6'4", 260 monster from Thompson, is going to make his announcement on the 8th of July at 6:45 p.m.
Now, what grade is he in?
He'll be a senior. He's a senior
Yeah,
at Thompson.
okay,
He's
yeah.
going. His choices are Alabama, Clemson, Florida, and he's replaced Jackson State. He had Oklahoma on there, but
Yeah.
Jackson State is in the mix. Florida, Clemson, Alabama.
Hope he doesn't come out and do what the guy at Jackson State did last year. Because if he continues to get those athletes, it's going to raise some eyebrows.
They said Peter Woods. They've won the
Okay.
state, 3 years in a row, Thompson has.
Uh-huh.
And another Troy alumni, did you read that about Logan Cerny?
Yeah, former great center fielder for Troy University.
Yeah, he's playing single life.
Yes, sir, at Fayetteville. He was the player of the week. He batted .476, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 13
Yeah,
RBIs, 3 stolen bases in 5 games.
It doesn't surprise me. He is a great player.
That's-
You watch his career; it'll boom.
Astros organization, he was the future Astros player of the week and Carolina League player of the week. Congratulations to Logan Cerny.
It'd be nice to see a Troy guy get back in the major leagues. I don't think they have anybody in the major leagues anymore.
I think he's on his way. I tell you,
As you pointed out several times, Michael, that it's been a long time since Troy's had anybody
yeah,
drafted in the NFL draft.
yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Lunar Shaughnessy had going on, but Richard Chauncey had going on, not Leonard, but Richard had a pipeline going every year. Somebody was getting drafted.
In football they were, and but certainly, you could tell he's got it all. He's great speed, great arm, good power.
One of those NFL draftees was a guy named Jarrell Jernigan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Boy, I can remember. Mike, I mean, as far as explosive playmakers, he was one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, no question about it. And he played in the Super Bowl. In fact, Troy, how many players do we have that year that played in the Super Bowl?
Troy had three. Had O.C. Muir and Lawrence Hines and Jarrell Jernigan all on the same team that won the Super Bowl.
And not many teams can say that,
Didn't you say that Lawrence Hines is like an executive at one of these airplane companies?
Yeah, he's like one of the higher-ups with the flying for famous people and rich people called Wheels Up.
Started up. They advertise on game day on the ESPN.
They do. And what makes them unique?
You can chart right now. Mike Amos and Carol Amos can call them up and say, "I want to fly to wherever you want to fly to, Vail, Colorado," and they bring a plane right to the Troy airport, and you could have your own private plane and fly out there.
Here's some neat things about him. His father was a SEAL Team 2 member stationed in Scotland in the 1970s. This is called Lawrence Tynes' dad. His name's Larry. He's a detective with the Santa Rosa, Florida Sheriff's Department. And his brother, one of his brothers, has served in the United States Army in Iraq and Kuwait.
Tynes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN did a documentary on one of his other brothers, and his brother was arrested.
Yeah.
And has been in prison for like the last 15 years for some charges. It's one of those type of things he could have took a plea deal, but went to court and ended up getting 26, 27 years in prison.
In the United States?
That's one of his brothers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's
I've talked in the past about how incredibly wealthy some people are today. We mentioned the guy that spent $4.7 billion to buy the Denver Broncos. Well, one measure of that is how many people own private airplanes. I've talked to some people for other stories that, and they were talking about they go to this guy was an air traffic controller, and he says when there's big events like the Masters golf tournament or something, he goes and he is in charge of the air traffic control with just hundreds of thousands of private planes fly into these small airports for these events. So it makes you think, man, there's a lot more people that actually have private jets and planes than you probably realize. And then there's also a lot more people that can afford to use this Jets Up service.
And they rent, they rent these homes. People rent their homes out for 2 weeks, and it pays their rent for the rest of the year. Their note.
Yeah, I wonder how many. It must be thousands of homes, because all the players do it, and then all the corporate sponsors and big wigs and fans. Just about anybody that has a house in Augusta can probably does rent it out for a week.
Yeah, we have friends that do Wheels Up from Birmingham. They just keep a car down here year round, and they have somebody fly them down, and then they Uber from the airport, and then they have their car, and then they Uber back to the airport. But
doesn't one of Larry Meeks' son and grandson?
He's a pilot.
They're pilots.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people that have planes. I got friends that have planes, and they go everywhere. It's one of those type things. They think it's safer to fly than drive.
Quicker.
It's funny that little Troy, that there are a lot of pilots that have had planes through the years. Y'all could name several of them, and I've flown with several. Mr. Murphy he doesn't have it anymore, but he used to fly often he needed it for his bridge building business, and then now his nephew is in that same taking over that business, and he's got an airplane and flies everywhere.
Mr. Mike, you were talking about camps. Troy just had a big camp in basketball, and today Troy University had a big team camp the last couple of days, but today you can walk up and register your son or daughter, grades 1 through 4, It starts from 9 to 11. You can walk up and sign in today. It's the Scott Cross Camp. And then at 1 o'clock, 5th grade through 8th grade, from 12 to 2, you can just walk up and register your kids today at Troy University.
Yeah.
So
I might run by then and
call
watch
Troy
some of that.
University, and if you've got a son or daughter interested in basketball, or just take them to give them
Yeah.
some skills to let them
And
learn
they
the
get to-
game.
Exactly
and they
right.
get to shoot at Trojan Arena.
That's right.
I would, what is the fee for that, do you know?
It didn't say, but you could call Troy University. I don't know if I can pull it up. I don't have a good email service in the building. But you can call the Troy University, 670-3100, and ask for the athletic department, and they can give you more information. But
Judy Morgan
can
can
walk
probably help you. We saw her yesterday at
Yeah.
Bird Drugs.
Yeah.
She says she works at a lot of the football camps. What do you do at all these football camps? She said, I take up the money.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun, and of course, if you know, not only do if you want to go, you might want to take some of the neighbors' kids, to learn, like you said, learn basketball skills, but also be around Troy University's basketball team. And boy, that right there is worth admission, right there.
You know, I once went to a basketball camp. Tell me if you remember this name. Neil Posey.
Oh yeah,
He's been a basketball coach at
Huntington. Yeah, great coach.
I went to the Huntington Neil Posey basketball camp in 8th grade, I think, with Charles Bradshaw for a week. And man, they didn't play around. I thought, this will be fun. I'll play some basketball, but it was just 3 times a day doing all these drills, running, and by the time that thing was over, I was ready to be back in Troy.
That's right.
I stayed in the dorm at Huntington for a week.
Oh boy,
I've
that
got
was
your
fun.
answer, Mike. It's today, tomorrow, and Friday for grades 1 through 4. 8-foot goals. It's $100 for 3 days, and then 5th through 8th
What did you
grade
say? $100
for 3 days.
For 3 days, okay.
And that for your 5th grade through 8th grade on a 10-foot go, it's $100 for 3 days, starting today. So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it
They
is.
learn
And
skills and have a lot of. But I got this at the go to Troy University basketball, and it's the Scott Cross basketball camps.
I bet he does a great job with that, too.
yeah, I know he does, and he's a good friend of mine. I enjoy watching his teams play. But like you said, see, a lot of the participants will be Troy University players. You're working with the team, so. And then also Coach Scott Cross will be.
I bet that's a good point,
instructing,
Mike. That now with this NIL reforms, I think these players can now be paid for helping out with these youth camps,
Yeah.
where in the past they couldn't.
Yeah.
So it's a good source of auxiliary income
Yeah.
for 'em. I'm not sure of that, but I bet
Times
they
have changed, no question about it.
Now they can put cheese on their
It's still hard to
hamburger.
believe if you think about Coach Cross and just how weird things work out in life. I mean, Eddie McCarter was a great high school basketball coach at Charles Winston High School, and was becoming the head coach at Texas Arlington, where Scott Cross played for McCarter, coached under McCarter. I mean, that's just still weird for me to think of a guy that coached high school ball in Troy ended up being the head coach at Texas Arlington. Now this guy's, a player at Arlington, head coach, great success there, and now he's the head coach at Troy University.
Yeah, well, let's go far. Who brought Eddie McCarter to Troy? A guy named J. Jeffcoat was the athletic director and hired Eddie McCarter.
And I coached Jeff Coach's grandson.
He was, Coach McCarter hardly knew anything about football, he would admit it. But he was the quarterback's coach on the state championship football team.
Was
So
he?
he was my coach of the quarterbacks.
And who is the head baseball coach? What's his name?
At Troy
Who?
Cross?
Skylar Meade?
Yeah, Meade,
Oh, Scott,
Cross,
yeah.
and Summerall. Their appearance, their statue, their demeanor, their character. I mean, those are 3 giants of men. Just how they carry themselves.
Meade. Sky Meade.
Yeah, you gotta
'Cause
have
his real name is Skylar Mead.
He loves table tennis.
That is he good at
When
it?
he was in college, he loved ping pong, and so when I came, I bought some Troy University, I ordered some Troy University ping pong balls, and I took him to him. I said, "Coach, I'm Forest League. Here's your present."
When was that?
Oh, when about a month after he was hired, he was in the.
How did you know that he liked
I read his bio when he was in college. He played where at the University of
in Louisville?
Louisville. I went to the University of Louisville website when he played, and it was talking about the music he listened to, and all that kind of stuff. And he was an avid ping pong player.
Yeah.
And so I ordered some ping pong balls with the Troy logo on them.
I used to be an avid ping pong player.
Hopefully we'll have Coach Mead on our show.
I played a couple of years ago, and it was like my bowling. I mean, it was embarrassing. What happened to my game? I used to have a game.
How old are you?
I was a great badminton player. Do people play badminton anymore?
I challenge you to badminton. I'm 62. I'll challenge you.
I'll take you on though. If I get some glasses, there's no way you can beat me in ping pong.
I'll take mine off.
Yeah.
I used to play my wife at, when we were kids in PE class, Waddy Whitman and Coach Bynum and them used to play, lawn darts. We had these real darts and you tried to throw them into a ring. I think those might be banned for high school or junior high kids now. Might have been a little too dangerous.
You want to find out who was the good ping pong players in your town? We'll just find out who had a ping pong table. Those people were great. And I'll tell you who had one was Scott Rainey and Todd Rainey. And I had one in Opelika. That's where I got good, playing in the basement.
Yeah.
Moved to Troy, didn't have one, but Scott had one. And so I was at his house all the time, and so I could keep playing. And here's what Scott and I would do. We'd play one game. Say Scott won. I'd say, let's go 2 out of 3. Then I would win. Then I swear we would get to, okay, let's go to 10 out of 17. And we would end up playing 20 games.
I tell you some
By the time we finished, we were exhausted.
Probably a couple of the family that's probably the best ping pong players in this area right now is Coach Cross's sons.
Really?
Yeah, especially the youngest one. I've never played them, but the Cross boys have a ping pong table in their basement. And
have you ever been to their house? It's huge. Their house is one of the biggest houses.
I've never been in it, but I know what you're talking about.
I'll tell you who else was good.
It's huge, yeah.
My friend Chuck Norris. His nickname was 12 because he's so tall, like the 12 tower. He had a ping pong table. I don't think I ever really played a full game with Chuck, but here's what Chuck could do that I really couldn't do. He could spin that ball like a lot of these ping pong players could. That would put a whole new dynamic on the game.
Jackie Jackson, who I grew up with, he played on our football team. He was a kicker. And he kicked one extra point to beat Enterprise one night in Enterprise. But he could do all sorts of things with ping pong. And you talk about putting English on it, that old ball would hit here and then it bounced here,
Well, tennis players do that, which we don't pick up on TV. But it's like the ball's not going to bounce up straight to you.
Of course, this show's brought to you by Oakview Manor in Ozark, and we appreciate them so much. Also, the Alabama Real Estate Connection, and of course, Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy, where they've got all kinds of great deals going on right now. And of course, remember this: nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. Will be back.
Steve's on the phone.
Oh, I know it. And see that jeweler.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
These teenage years can be tricky to navigate, especially when it comes to teaching my son about managing money. I'm thankful for helpful tools like Sidekick from Max. With Sidekick, requesting and rewarding money is easy. He can earn it by completing chores, making honor roll, or simply making a request from his own app. I love that I can easily monitor his purchases and set limits to help him learn to make smart choices with his spending. Even on video.